What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, welcome back, buddy. How was the weekend?
Oh, it was a blur. A lot of review games on the go, which is great. And I'm having a real good time with some. That's the only spoiler I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot on the dock as of late, that's for sure. But coming up on today's show, where you can join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later, InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, however, could we be playing Halo Infinite this weekend? For Honor is not coming to Google Stadia, and Activision Blizzard former CEO takes to Twitter for an apology.
Yeah, a bit of an update on that scenario. I think that kind of kicked off late last week, but things are constantly moving. It's good to see something of an update in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. But to first get things started, let's get into Halo Infinite multiplayer technical test. Could happen as soon as this weekend, maybe. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of questions going on, but the first Halo Infinite multiplayer technical test is coming soon, and 343 Industries has outlined what to expect. In the latest Inside Infinite update, 343 went over what players of the Halo Infinite technical flight will be testing. According to the developers, a technical preview will focus on testing the Halo Waypoint companion for mobile and web, and you'll also be able to test the menu navigation for the Battle Pass UI. Challenges, customizations, insiders will also test multiplayer bots in the bot arena playlist. Dude, I may actually have a shot at killing somebody here if I actually go up against bots, which puts 4 players against 4 bots in arena maps. For this technical preview, the bot arena experience will feature Slayer across 3 maps: Bazaar, Recharge, and Live Fire. Bots come in the 4 flavors: Recruit, Marine, ODST, and Spartan. Scott, there's a couple different skill levels going on there, right? The team is playing in a daily content offering with bots that will evolve over the course of the flight based on the overall engagement of participants. things will start off slowly and will actually build up over time and become more and more difficult. The biggest thing, Scott, is it's coming to PC and Xbox, and sounds like it's going to be here soon, with hundreds of thousands of insiders getting an inside scoop to play the game. What are your thoughts here, buddy?
There is no shortage of volunteers to test this game. There's absolutely going to be a test of server strength as well.
Yeah.
But these are all valuable things, right? We want to get these kind of kinks ironed out before release. This is a huge property, so release window is going to be extremely important. And I like that they've shown a bit of their hand in this little announcement here. The battle pass confirmed.
Yeah,
that
of course.
That was a question we were wondering. I don't know if that includes loot boxes or something, but we'll have to learn about that later.
Yeah.
And the idea of bots is really interesting to me, actually, because it's like what happened to chess when they started having computers playing against the best chess players. There's just a way of training, and there's people that are insanely good at these games. So I expect the bots will follow in tow. I'm excited, and I'm really hoping that I get a spot on this tech test. But in any case, we're getting closer to release, and I'm feeling the hype.
No, absolutely. Flood Studios joins us and says, now we're talking my language. Absolutely, man. I know a lot of people are pumped for this. I got a funny feeling, Scott, that we could be in on this, buddy. We will see what happens here in the near future, but fingers crossed we can get in, test this out as well, because I want to see what it's going to be like now to get back into Halo after coming off of Halo 5. A lot of mixed reactions coming off of that one. And then getting into Halo Infinite, I think 343 is really about to step up their game here and bring back the things that we all loved about Halo in the first place, right? Like Nate talks about it all the time, how his fond memories of Halo and where he kind of started his whole Xbox journey. And Halo's at the forefront, right? Let's be honest. Halo led the charge. So we will see what goes on here. And there's, like you said, there's no shortage of players looking to get in on this and have a piece of the pie and get a feel of what the next Halo is going to have in store for all of us.
Even if I have to sign an NDA, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But definitely pretty excited to get in. There should be a lot of fun to be had here. And they're bringing back returning game modes. I think that's one of the biggest highlights for a lot of people, is just the familiarity of what 343 is bringing to Halo, where everybody kind of got started, coming to PC and Xbox. So that's pretty cool. Please keep me off of PC. Nobody wants me over there. I'm just gonna let my team down.
I'm actually comforted that 343 is working on this one, because they've done so much, even just to the Master Chief Collection.
Absolutely.
So they can handle Bungie's Halo in a very respectful manner, and they are very familiar with those first trilogy games. So I'm really hoping that this one's going to be good, as opposed to, if Bungie took it, then we're getting into more of a Destiny kind of trend, and that's something that's not very attractive to me.
Yeah, no, I think we're just going to get your standard, what we all love and feel for Halo's multiplayer scenario, right? And then we'll touch on the single player game when it arrives here later this fall. It's holiday season, so lots in the pipeline, Scott. There's always so much to cover. Let's keep going into the world of For Honor not coming to Stadia as previously reported. We've seen recently Ubisoft just brought over Rainbow Six Siege, Scott. So to see this come up, I'm a little shocked that they're not going to bring For Honor, which was originally thought as coming to Stadia after a Ubisoft investor call back in May of this year. The game was clearly listed as coming to Stadia sometime between April and June of this year. Of course, we are now nearing the end of July, and there has been no sign of it at all coming to Stadia. This past week, Ubisoft held another investor call where For Honor was no longer listed for release on Stadia. Stadia's source reached out to Ubisoft to inquire about the current state of the Stadia version of For Honor, and they received the following response from a Ubisoft spokesperson. Quote, "There was a mistake, and we can confirm that For Honor sadly won't be coming to Stadia." End quote.
A mistake.
Well,
it seems like a rather big mistake.
Well, something happened there, Scott. Like, what goes on? Like, that's a listed thing, man. And all of a sudden now it's just taken off. Like, nope, we're just going to bounce on this idea. It's not going to work. I wonder if they're looking at the install base for Stadia, which from what I've seen in the past and as of right now, there's actually a solid foundation on Stadia. We're part of the Stadia community. We love it over there. We have a great time. I just recently got my code to jump in to play some Rainbow Six, and man, when you're playing a Twitch shooter on Stadia, I'm not too sure how I feel about that compared to playing on my Xbox, if I'm completely honest, right? There's a little...
It's a real test of the network. Both your internet and Stadia's.
And
there's a lot of moving parts.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the other side is, honestly, it comes down to the cross-play. They've implemented cross-play, so the minute you jump in, you're connected with PC and controller, and dude, that just doesn't mix. Like, let's be honest, we all know how that ends, and it doesn't end well. So
yeah, you could mix Stadia... Oh, that was loud. You can mix Stadia and Steam players on PC. Rainbow Six, and you'd still have a hard time, but it would be a little more equatable. I have suspicion that Stadia would be hard to run that game properly, just in any setting. I'm not. It's just because you mentioned it's a Twitch shooter. Everything's down to milliseconds, and if you have any delay, then it's almost no contest. I wonder if they ran into technical issues for Honor. But then again, looking at Rainbow Six, if you can run that, I don't know what would be a stronger test, really.
No, absolutely. I think if you can bring over Rainbow Six, which is one of Ubisoft's staple shooters, let's be honest, right, to the mix of Stadia, then why wouldn't you bring over the others as well? What other titles? Like, they do have, dude, they have Ubisoft Plus over there. So can you not get For Honor and Plus? Can you not get that there? Does that, like,
I thought it was just full list got added to Stadia, so but it seems that's not true.
Apparently that's not the case, so you're not getting For Honor, which is, it's a unique combat situation, right? Because you have to be able to counter on the side you're getting attacked from, so you're constantly readjusting your position and your footing within the game. I think it's such a cool concept, and it just keeps going. That's the biggest thing too, Scott, is that game just doesn't stop, and the fact that Stadia players aren't going to have that is just really unfortunate. If you can bring over Rainbow Six, then I would have expected you to be able to bring over For Honor. Maybe it's something we'll get later on in the future, but as of right now, apparently it was just a mistake.
That's unfortunate. I hope it doesn't spark a trend of games being omitted from larger studios.
Hopefully not.
I would like to see Stadia just to get everything under their umbrella, really.
No, absolutely. Scott, let's move on to what we are following as a lawsuit now coming from Blizzard co-founder and former CEO response to the Activision Blizzard lawsuit. I am extremely sorry that I failed you. This past week, legal documents regarding a lawsuit from the state of California against Activision Blizzard surfaced. The lawsuit's details are graphic, disturbing, and detailed in a way that is causing both gaming community and the industry to take action. And we have a follow-up article to this, Scott, as well. But the biggest thing is, I want to get into the quote here by former CEO. I'm just looking for it. There it is. Mike Moraim. I'm gonna say is his name, and that's the biggest thing is that everybody here is now. Man, we touched on it last week, right? Like how bad this really is. And he's got a bunch of statements in here. He says, "I have read the full complaint against Activision Blizzard for many and many of the other stories," he has stated. "It is all very disturbing and difficult to read. I am ashamed. It feels like everything I thought I stood for has been washed away. What's worse, but even more important, real people have been harmed, and some women have terrible experiences." He continues on to saying, "I was at Blizzard for 28 years. During this time, I tried very hard to create an environment that was safe and welcoming for people in all genders and backgrounds. I knew that it was not perfect, but clearly we were far from that goal. The fact that so many women were mistreated and were not supported means we let them down. In addition, we did not succeed in making it feel safe for people to tell their truth. It is no consolation that other companies have faced similar challenges. I wanted to be different, better. Harassment and discrimination exist. They are prevalent in our industry. It is the responsibility of leadership to keep all employees feeling safe, supported, and treated equally, regardless of gender and background. It is excuse me, it is the responsibility of leadership to stamp out toxicity and harassment in any form across all levels of the company. To Blizzard women who experienced any of these things, I'm extremely sorry that I failed you. Dude, a statement right there. I'm sorry that I failed you. It is coming from the top, right?
So, taking ownership of it, yeah.
Absolutely, which is great to see. Somebody's got to do something. There has to be an action taken here. We have yet to hear from a lot of other people that I think I would have expected to hear from by now.
Yeah, I just, it's funny that he mentions being aware of other companies with these issues, and we've heard that come out kind of as of recent.
Yep.
But it's just, somebody has to take responsibility. I think that was lacking in the last scenario, but this is a turn for the better, because somebody takes ownership and takes responsibility. This is the captain of the ship, so to speak. See, I think this is coming from a genuine place. In 28 years in the business, nobody wants their business to crumble like that. He doesn't want to be the captain that oversaw that. No. And 28 years in a company, I can't even quantify that. I've been on this planet for 28 years.
That's like, there's a lot to take in, right? And it's unfortunate how everything's been set up here at Activision, and we've seen other places too, which we're about to get into here in a second as well, because this is like, we're gonna roll into this story as well, Scott, so we can talk about both of them, because now gaming outlets halt Activision Blizzard coverage. The Game Explain say they won't be covering the company's products until more is done. Prima Games puts hard pause on Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft coverage. Multiple gaming outlets have said that they will at least temporarily stop covering Activision games in light of a discrimination and harassment lawsuit against the publisher and its various responses to it. Dude, now we're seeing actual outlets take a stance as well and say, until you actually do something, we're no longer covering your content, which is huge, because now we're getting into Ubisoft and Activision, which is two of the biggest publishers around.
They have deep pockets, but this is definitely going to affect them in ways, if financially, it's hurting the company's standing now. There are real consequences happening, and that's to be expected, really.
No, absolutely. I think, it's good to see our industry stand up for others. I think we need to be able to be there to support them, and something needs to be done. And until people do start, figuring out how to correct this path that they've allowed kind of grow within their company, then they have to get the feedback that they're getting right now, or the consequences of it as well. Now you're starting to see certain outlets just bail out. We're not covering your content anymore until you figure out how to fix it and treat your people right.
Yeah, I hope that results in the actual solutions to these individuals that are creating this kind of culture. I hope this isn't Blizzard Activision being used as a scapegoat, and it just kind of becomes another company with the same issues. That would be no good for anybody.
No, absolutely, right? It doesn't work for anyone then in that case. So I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot when you get into this. There's a lot to cover when it comes to these companies as far as games. So to take that stance and say, you know what, we're not doing it. We're not going to cover your content. It hurts them immensely because they are so big, right? There are going to be other people who will still cover them and things like that. But at the same time, it's good to see a lot of us now start to stand up and make a stance for the fact that it's just, why can't you just treat people the way they should be treated and treat everybody kind? Be nice, man. Like, it's not that difficult. Don't be a jerk. Like, it's just whatever. So, you know what I mean? Like, we talked about the Activision harassment stuff we saw. And Scott, I don't know if you saw it on the weekend, dude. I gotta bring it up. I saw this on the weekend that years ago there was a WoW conference over at BlizzCon, and a woman stood up in the crowd and asked the question of when are the characters going to be less sexually, out there kind of thing, and like, what magazine are you pulling them from? And their response was, well, what magazine would you like us to make them from? And I was just like, wow, holy.
That's shutting the door in her face on that one.
That is a comment, dude, you would never see nowadays at all in our industry, right? And it was just, to even see that, someone put it down on Twitter, and I was just like, whoa, that was Yeah, so I responded with like, how do you think those individuals feel about that comment now? Right,
Yeah.
like back then is a different time, and it's unfortunate that was the time, but now we see where the industry has grown, and there's been a lot of changes, man, and I think a lot of it for the better too. There's no doubt about it. But
yeah, it's setting a precedent for other companies. He mentions, the CEO mentions that this is happening in other places, and hopefully they look to the resolutions of this and Ubisoft, and
yep.
hopefully that's resolved in a good way and it sets the standard again.
Yeah. All right, Scott, that's enough talking about the bad stuff. Let's get into something that could be kind of cool, because Elder Scrolls 6 release date speculation confirmed by Xbox. Let's see about how this goes.
A big one.
Absolutely. The speculation surrounding the Elder Scrolls 6 and its release date has been that is very, very far away. In fact, Bethesda and Xbox have hinted as much in the past. However, because the game was announced all the way back in 2018 alongside Starfield, which is set to release next year, just make a little highlight note, Nate lost that E3 prediction. Just saying, many have been left with the impression that the next installment in the fantasy role-playing series isn't very far away, but it is. There's a reason we have been hearing next to nothing about the game, and the reason is simple. It's not releasing anytime soon. How do we know this? Because when speaking about the new Fable game in development, Xbox Phil Spencer confirmed the Elder Scrolls 6 will release after the new Fable game. Oh man, Scott,
that one's put off quite far. I believe that's not even next year.
No, dude, we're not even getting Fable sometime soon, right? What information can we pull from this? Well, not a ton, unless you take into consideration a recent report from a fairly reputable source, which claims the new Fable game isn't releasing until 2023. Ouch.
At the earliest.
Earliest, man. So really, let's Scott, let's be honest, we're probably not going to get Fable until 2024, which means we probably won't see Elder Scrolls 6 until like 2025 when GTA 6 launches.
Now here's hoping we get a Splinter Cell at some point between now and Fable, because delays happen. We understand that, but Fable being put off so far it just kind of stings.
Kinda?
And it reminds me of the two major properties that have yet to release something soon or on this console block. I'm speaking on Metal Gear and Splinter Cell,
which we'll never see again. It's just, dude, it's so disappointing because Sam Fisher has dust on the wind. Well, yeah, that's unfortunate. But Elder Scrolls 6 really kind of has me questioning what's going to happen next, right? Like, when are you going to see that game? The Fable is that far away. Then, dude, they really probably haven't done much at all in the world of Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be off of concept art at this point, because 3 years is quite some time, but there's got to be a lot of structuring and planning how they're devoting resources into even creating the game. And they have other projects, as you said. There's Starfield coming down the pipe. That one's their main focus right now because they're launching a new IP. That makes a lot of sense. But Elder Scrolls, we might see a new release of Skyrim between now and then.
The high-res version is going to come with Skyrim. That's what we're going to get first, and then you'll see Elder Scrolls later on. But yeah, at this point, they got to be, like you say, right? Like early development, concept art. That's what they're going to be working on right now. I think everybody right now is hands-on for Starfield, and that's their main focus because it's launching next year. And which is something we don't see very often come out of Bethesda, is the fact that Todd Howard announces the release date so far away. And this is kind of why Nate speculated that we're going to see it this year. If they're talking about it, then why wouldn't we see it, 3 months, 6 months from now? That's not the case. We're like a year and a half, 2 years out still. So, that's how far down the line. And if they also run into what complications are they going to get into as well, Scott? That's the other side of it. And then does that get the game delayed even further?
How big is the scope? Is this going to match some of the things that we see on Elder Scrolls Online? Are we going to see this become more of a massively multiplayer thing?
Yeah.
By the time it comes around, there might be a whole new industry trend that it has to try and address in some way.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Battle Royale
Oh.
might not happen, but there'll be something new by then.
Well, we always see, these game phases kind of come and go. We saw Battle Royale really kind of sweep in there and take the world by storm, and then from there you get all these developers kind of want to jump on the bandwagon because this thing's taken off so well. We should be a part of that somehow in some way as well, right? And then I don't know, but if they can stay focused on what they're doing, what they're creating, and keep their path going the way they're kind of targeted for, then hopefully we can just get the game that everybody's looking for, and then that's the major thing. And don't do here's the date, and then sorry, we gotta delay the game.
Yeah, do it if it's necessary, but don't do it multiple times, please.
Yeah, no, for sure, because that's never a good thing, right? We talked about it last week, how you get hyped for the release date and then all of a sudden it's got to get pushed back. We understand the need to push it back, and it's just unfortunate from a gamer's perspective because you built the hype up that is coming for us on that date. So that means we want to get in and start playing, but then if you start pushing that date back and then push it back again and they keep pushing it back, it ruins everything. Or you just launch the game that it's not supposed to be launched. We've seen how that works in the past too, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So hopefully they'll do here's the date. Well, yeah, and then 2 months out, then we're good to go, man. But Scott, let's move on. What one game do we have coming out today?
Yeah, it's another strangely open week, but we're just in the beginning of it now. But there is only one release for today, and it's actually a mobile title called Contra Returns. Interesting, and that's a title that I think will work well on mobile. So I'm curious to see how this one turns out.
No, absolutely. I think we'll have to jump in and take a look. But everybody, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you for hanging out with us. Don't forget, you can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see everybody tomorrow inside the game.